And let's talk about some other fights. What other fights are you looking on?
Well, I got to get your take on this one before we just breeze over it. But the co-main event, Amanda Nunes getting in there against Megan Anderson. What is your take on this one, Al?
Well, this is one of those, I have to like come out and say like I'm super biased because Amanda Nunes is like one of the biggest gambling wins of my entire life. I bet her at like plus 300 against Ronda. Against Ronda. And so she'll always have I'll always have a little bit of bias towards Amanda Nunes. And you just can't bet her in this fight. Like I think she's going to win, but it's getting to the point where there's so much value on the other side that you might as well put a little play on Megan Anderson, because it's getting a little bit ridiculous. And if you especially look at her last performance against GDR, she beat her up, and it was a pretty clear fight. But I don't think that if she goes into like the 4th or 5th round of Megan Anderson, that it's going to go the same way that it went with GDR, because Megan Anderson is an athlete. Like she's young and she's long. She's probably one of the longer fighters that Amanda's ever faced. So,
most definitely.
I feel like this fight's a lot closer than what the odds indicate. And I personally, I feel like Amanda's gonna win, but if you're getting plus 800 on Megan Anderson, I think you might as well throw a little quarter of a unit just for fun, because even on the inside the distance for Amanda Nunes, it can't be that what is it, minus 340, like no. And if Megan wins, I don't see her winning a decision. I think she's got to knock her out or submit her. She's going to have to win inside the distance. And I think just based on the promos, it sounds like one of them wants, it's not going to be a 5-round fight. I think that, Megan Anderson's going to come out trying to take her head off. And if she does that, she might be in some trouble. So it's super. What do you think? What's your take on it?
Yeah, man, I think Nunes is going to win, but you're talking implied probability. I think there's a chance the fight does play out closer than the odds we're getting. But at the same time, man, it's tough to see. It's tough to see Nunes losing to this chick at this point in their career. If Megan Anderson maybe a few years down the road and Nunes was starting to be on the slide, the decline, and Megan Anderson had a little bit more experience. But I mean, women's 145, man, I'll keep it real. I don't think that division should exist. I mean, we're talking about a division that's made up of 4 women. I mean, can we? Look, it's not a joke, and I'm not trying to be demeaning. Go look at women's UFC on the UFC website right now, UFC.com. Go look at the women's 145-pound rankings. What you will find is a listed champion, Amanda Nunes, followed by no one in the top 10. They don't even have the audacity to rank Megan Anderson on the website. They can't even come up with some bodies, some spots to fill out a top 10, let alone a top 15. And in my book, man, if we don't even have 10 competitors at this weight, let alone a top 15, I don't think the division should exist. And if we're keeping it real, this is a belt that was supposed to be Cyborg's, right? Cyborg was supposed to win this belt, but Nunes went in there and proved beyond a shadow of a doubt she truly is the greatest female fighter of all time. Yeah. And it's just tough for me to see a chick who could go in there toe-to-toe, fight Cyborg's game, which is essentially to kickbox, right? And just goes in there, dusts Cyborg like that, and isn't going to be able to handle a Megan Anderson. I mean, Megan's going to have to just do something no one else has been able to do. And when I say that, Amanda Nunes has lost fights, but it's not going to be in the style of which she lost previous fights. Right. Those fights were lost through grappling. Those fights were lost when Nunes was so much greener. There's one path to victory for Megan Anderson here, and it's to stay long, use that length, work a jab, work some good heavy shots,
Yeah, that's true.
and just somehow be able to land that knockout blow, which I see is probably her most likely path to victory, while also being very unlikely, or just somehow be able to outpoint her. And I really don't see that being the case either. If Nunes was smart, I think she probably makes this a dirty fight. I think she could win this fight honestly in any area, but the
Yeah.
the point where I think Nunes overshadows Megan Anderson the most is probably going to be on the ground. If Nunes can take her down and use a heavy top game and ground and pound, I think that's where she's going to really be able to show that she's on another level. At the same time, I'm not going to be surprised if Nunes just goes out there and absolutely dusts her on the feet either. I really think Nunes has a rare accuracy and rare power for a female fighter, and she really just seems to be at her absolute peak right now, and seems to be, when she fights at 145, just have even more power, just even more ability to put you away in a timely manner. Nunes is a very scary beast, and I really think she's just, a level above all competition currently available. I think that probably about covers it. Is there anything else you want to say on this one, Al?
Yeah, it's interesting that you mention it. So guess in total over the past 4 years, guess how many women's featherweight fights there have been in the UFC? It's under 20.
Oh my goodness. So you're saying grand total lifetime? Yeah, under 20. I would believe it. And I mean, and Nunes has been in what? Half of them?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And half of them have been title fights, right? Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It is what it is. I don't see the UFC shuttering any more divisions. The thing that's keeping it around is the fact that Nunes has that belt over her shoulder, and the attempt of the UFC to market a champ, right? And not just a champ. She's the first champ who's gone on to defend the title in both of the divisions. She's currently the champion. So the UFC will keep it around, use it as a marketing tool, but man, it kind of feels like a phony division to me. But like, where are these contenders? I don't see anyone outside the UFC that I'm dying to get in here to see fight at women's 145. It just doesn't really do it for me, Al, but I guess I understand it from the marketing standpoint.